All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a live edition of the Opinion, and so basically, um, getting a little freeze action here. So basically, let's get right into it. I know the start wasn't what I wanted to be. Don't go live too much. Let's get right into it. Top Rank save Cinco de Mayo weekend, and this comes as a shocker because when you look at the Turkey Al Sheik cards were dull. I mean, let's start on Friday. As I mentioned in my last video, if you didn't catch that, go catch that when I talked about Ryan Garcia losing as well as the card. But as I mentioned in my last video, let's start with Friday. Let's start with from a fan perspective, the way that it was sold. The way that it was sold was that this thing was going to be in Times Square. The fans would get to watch it, and basically none of that happened. This thing was completely all VIP. Devin Haney ran. The Teofimo Lopez fight was not competitive. He didn't necessarily look great. And then you had someone like and then you obviously had Ryan Garcia that didn't look great. He got upset. Then you fast forward to last night. Canelo Alvarez. I give Canelo Alvarez, kudos for trying to make the fight, but his opponent, William Skull, which, I mean, here's the thing. We knew on paper that wasn't going to be a good fight. We knew Canelo was going to win that fight. But at the end of the day, William Skull didn't make a fight. I mean, it was like, I think they said it was like the lowest output of boxing ever. I mean, in fact, the referee had to step in and say, hey guys, let's make a fight here. And then when you fast forward to tonight, which I knew Monster Inoue was going to bring it. What I didn't know is that Monster Inoue was going to get dropped, and he was a heavy favorite. So anytime your heavy favorite gets dropped and appears to be losing the fight at a certain point, you know you got a good fight on your hands. And more importantly, the entire top rank card delivered, in my opinion. The entire top rank card delivered, in my opinion. Not just the main event. You the prelims. I was checking in on some of the prelims while I'm watching, the Warriors game, and the prelims delivered as well. And then you get obviously to the main event in the second round. Cardenas out of San Antonio, he drops Monster Inoue, drops him, and Inoue's been down before. I believe it was Louis Neri that dropped him before. So me, looking at somebody, favoring Inoue, I didn't necessarily get panicked, but at the same time, I mean, there were several other left hooks and a few right hooks that these things are barely missing. And if they land on Inoue, this thing could be over with. But obviously Inoue fought back, had some adversity, and was able to fight back and ultimately win this fight in a stoppage. Now, some people believe that the stoppage was a little bit premature. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I will leave that up to you to ultimately decide. But this fight ultimately delivered. It delivered what the Canelo and the Turkey Al Sheik cards were missing. And ironically, I'm somebody on this channel. If you follow my channel, I normally trash Top Rank for putting on fights that nobody wants to see. Fights on a paper that nobody wants to see, and often you get dud cards. They're more like showcase fights. And Top Rank actually delivered this time. I mean, hey, I have to call a spade a spade. I don't have to necessarily always favor Top Rank, but I have to call it the way that I see it. And Top Rank, between them and DAZN and whatever Turkey was doing, paying people so much money, and they were just going out there for a sparring match, Top Rank actually delivered here. They actually delivered. I mean, they did. And so when you look at it from that perspective, you can't hate on Top Rank. And so, but also you also wonder why is it that Top Rank hasn't gotten Inoue over here sooner in America to fight at a time that more people can watch rather than fighting, early in the morning. If they'd have gotten Inoue over here sooner and marketed him sooner, as well as marketed some of their other younger fighters a little bit better, Top Rank may not be leaving ESPN. ESPN may want to stay in business with Top Rank. as well. And we still haven't heard where Top Rank plans to go up to this point. But Top Rank kind of dropped the ball when it came to marketing. They're starting to pick it up as they're on the way out the door, but sometimes it's a little bit it's a too little too late. I mean, ESPN's been in this contract 7 years. I don't think ESPN's gotten out of it what they thought they were going to get out of it, and so to put on something a little bit too little too late probably isn't going to make that much of a difference. But hopefully, wherever Top Rank lands, Inoue they can get Inoue back in the United States to fight again. He after the fight he said he wanted MJ. So hopefully that fight is in the U.S. where more of an American audience. I know he's from Japan, and granted, I'm not hating on Japan. I know Japan wants him to fight over there as well. But hopefully his next fight can be in America where more people can see it. Because at the end of the day, I've always said that I've been critical of Top Rank, but I've always said when it comes to the young fighters, the young and up and coming guys, the guys coming from amateur or basically some of your club level guys, Top Rank has the best young stable of any of the outfits out there, but they have not marketed them correctly. And I mean, you've got guys like Shushu Carrington, you've obviously got Inoue, you've got guys like Abdullah Mason, you've got guys like Keyshawn Davis. I mean, and the list goes on and on. They've got Teofimo Lopez, who's still with Top Rank for the time being. And I just don't feel like Top Rank has really marketed their guys as well as they probably should have in the past. But with a fight like this, and a lot of people saw it. I know a lot of people after that Warriors game, they flipped over and saw what Top Rank was doing with Monster Inoue. So, maybe if Turkey Al-Sheikh can continue to put on duds, maybe Top Rank can get back in good graces with some of the fans, because they definitely deserve to as well. Now, as far as what Turkey Al-Sheikh put on, it's just funny that guys like Rick Glazer. I sent a tweet out to Rick Glazer earlier. And I asked Rick Glazer, hey Rick, with the fights being dull this weekend, why is it that you don't really have a problem with Turkey Al-Sheikh overpaying fighters and overpaying for fights, but when it came to Top Rank, you seem to have a problem with not Top Rank, but PBC. When it came to PBC, you seem to have a problem with PBC overpaying for fighters. And his response to me was, okay, Turkey's using his own money and PBC is using borrowed money. Like, what does that matter? Like, is any of that money yours? Like, are they using your borrowed money to overpay fighters? No, this is just a case that Rick Glazer is hating on PBC. But when Turkey Al-Sheikh goes and overpays fighters, and then we get the result that we got this weekend, then nobody says anything. But when Top Rank, when PBC was paying fighters a handsome penny, then from that perspective, everybody had a problem with it. But now that Turkey's paying tens of millions of dollars, these fighters are getting in the ring and they're literally just having a sparring match. They're not going to take a risk because it's like, hey, why get in here and mix it up when I already have, $10 million in my pocket? What for? Right? And so I think Turkey, while he means well, paying guys and bringing guys together and getting some of the matchups on paper that we want to see, I think that Turkey Al-Sheikh should be a little bit smarter with maybe how he doles out the money. Maybe he should give so much guaranteed, $1 million or $2 million guaranteed, and then make them fight to see who's going to win to get the rest. So maybe give $1 million or $2 million guaranteed to each fighter, and then basically say, okay, there's another $8 million for the winner. So whoever wins gets the other $8 million, and that's how you get your $10 million. And then from there, that is how the fights may be more competitive. Because at the end of the day, hey, people are going to fight for money. Like, people are going to fight if people are going to fight for money if you put them in there. But also, if you say, hey, winner takes the pot, people are going to fight hard for that. They're going to fight hard for that, even if they're down 7-1 and you're in the 9th round or something like that. People are going to try to fight hard to come back with a knockout to get that extra money as well. But this weekend, until Top Rank and Inoue save the day as it relates to as it relates to Cinco de Mayo weekend, this was going to be like one of the worst Cinco de Mayo weekends that we've ever seen. One of the worst that we've ever seen. I mean, think about how far boxing has fallen. Like we went from Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather on Cinco de Mayo weekend to Canelo Alvarez and William Skoll. I mean, you literally cannot make this up. And luckily, Inoue saved the day. Luckily, that fight, and Cardenas, I have to give Cardenas his credit as well. He came to fight. He came to fight. He dropped Inoue. And like I said, anytime the favorite gets dropped, you know you're in for a good fight. Anytime the favorite can get hurt a little bit and have to be challenged and have to go out and be great to win or have to overcome some adversity, you know that you're in for a good fight. And that is what Inoue and Top Rank delivered. Unfortunately, Turki Al-Sheikh, his cards, they were duds. They were absolute duds. And, you know, from a fighter perspective, do you blame them for being duds? They already had $10 to $15 million in their pocket. You know, I think they said William Skoll made, you know, what, $8 million or something like that? Anywhere between $3 to $8 million, the most money he's ever going to make in his career. You'll never hear from William Skoll again. And then Canelo made, you know, 30 something million guaranteed. So, well, what's the point in these guys getting out here and mixing it up? Now, yeah, Canelo was stalking Skoll around the ring, but he really wasn't throwing any punches himself. I mean, as I mentioned earlier in this live, the referee had to get together and tell these guys to actually fight each other. I mean, can you believe that? I've never seen a referee get with both guys and say, hey, guys, like, we got to fight. I mean, it was so bad. The referee was standing so far away from the action that the commentators even mentioned that. The commentators said, the referee's not even in the picture. I mean, what did he have to be in the picture for? They weren't fighting. And then let's talk about the Devin Haney fight. Devin Haney ran all night. He looked like Shakur Stevenson when Shakur Stevenson fought De Los Santos. Ran all night, didn't give us anything to hope for, right? It was a disaster on the New York City card for the fans. The fans couldn't see anything. It was a VIP event. And then on top of that, what happened to Turki's $29? I thought his pay-per-views were supposed to be $29. That's what everybody liked about Turki Al-Sheikh. They said, hey, PBC's charging you $80. Why pay $80 when Turki's putting on a better product for $29? And lo and behold, this weekend's cards were $60 a piece. The Friday night card was $60 and Saturday night's card was $60. Or you could have got them in a bundle together for $90. Man, for y'all that spent money on that, you could have put that $60 somewhere else. And I hope that there's nobody that spent $120 on both of them separately. That was $120. That's $120 you wasted. I mean, to get that product, and then Top Rank puts this out for free tonight on ESPN. And then, you know, obviously if you watch the prelims, ESPN Plus. So, you know, what is that? $10 $10 a month, you know, for the ESPN Plus subscription. So, you know, at the end of the day, I don't mean to bag on Turki Al-Sheikh, but hey, Turki's no different than anybody else in boxing. They tell you one thing, and then basically you end up getting something else. You know, $29 pay-per-view. Where was that this weekend, right? I think you'd probably had a lot more people buy the pay-per-views if they, you know, and they wouldn't have worried about it being $29 to get a dull product. But now you had some people actually spend, you know, $60 of their hard-earned money. And, you know, inflation's reeling out there now. $29 or $60 of their hard-earned money, or $90 for the bundle to get both the Friday night card and the Saturday night card. And it was a dud like that. Man, this weekend didn't do boxing any favors. If you had somebody out there that was trying to get, you know, new fans into boxing, and they had them watch those Friday and Saturday night cards, those people are never going to watch boxing again. Some of those people may have not stuck around till Sunday to give boxing a chance, because, like I say, Inoue and Top Rank turned the narrative around. And you know, an American company. How about that? You know, and like I said, I'm normally critical of Top Rank. If you've watched my channel, I'm normally critical of Top Rank, but you basically got to give it to Top Rank. You have to give it to Top Rank this time. You have to give it to him. Like the card was good, not just the main event, but even the undercard, the prelims, all action. It was good. The fans were into it. Man, I mean that you basically can't ask for much better. You cannot ask for much better as well. So for y'all coming in here, you guys that are just now coming in, just kind of recapping things. Monster Inoue wins by TKO stoppage in the 8th round. I hear some people out there complaining, saying that Inoue that the fight was stopped too early. I mean, it was only going to last like another 10 seconds. If the referee hadn't stopped in, his corner would have threw the towel in. I mean, if you were listening to the fight, his corner said the guy, the Cardenas, his corner told him, his trainer told him, hey, I got to see something from you in this round. If not, you're not gonna go out there another round. So if the referee hadn't jumped in, it was just a matter of time before either the guy got seriously hurt or the guy's corner jumped in and ultimately stopped it. And so it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. So so to me, I mean, you could say it's an early stoppage, but you're basically just you're basically just avoiding the inevitable for another maybe 5 to 10 seconds and all that. But I mean, some of y'all saying, well, he deserved to get knocked down. Okay. That's easy for you as a fan to say. How would you feel if you were in that position? You want to get knocked down? I don't think so. So at the end of the day, Inoue won. Now he moves on to the next challenge. I'm personally waiting on Inoue to move up to 126 pounds, featherweight. That's probably about as far as he needs to go, because him to go up to man, I've seen him get dropped 2 times in the last 2 times in the last 5 fights. Inoue's gotten dropped a couple of times, and I just don't know that he can really carry that weight up to 130 without taking more damage. So I think 126 is probably as much as Inoue is going to go. I mean, it'd be exciting to see him go up to 135 and have a fight with Tank Davis. I mean, obviously that would be a blockbuster fight, but I just don't see Inoue really moving up to 130 pounds. I think 126 is probably as good as it's going to get for him. But once he moves up to 126, there's some opponents out there for him. I mean, we know that he beat Fulton. We don't need to see that again. Fulton's at 126. He whooped him. You got Shushu Carrington. There's other fighters at 126. So once Monster, I mean, if his next fight's at 122 or whatever, that should be his last fight at 122. And then I think Monster Inoue should move up to 126, because it's going to be electric right there. And hopefully Top Rank can get him over here in America a little bit more, so that way the American audience can start to see him. The American audience can start to see him at a good time, instead of having to, wake up at 4, 5, 6 in the morning to catch him, when most people aren't going to do that as well. So it is what it is. Now, basically, what do y'all think about what is y'all's image of Turkey Al-Sheikh now? Because that stuff he put on this weekend was duds. I mean, all duds. I mean, I don't think there was like one knockdown, Rolling Romero over Ryan Garcia. One knockdown the whole weekend. Nobody else got no knockouts. All them fights, nobody got knocked down. And it's like, for what? I'm gonna keep going back to it. For what? Why would guys take a risk when they got $10 to $15 million in their pocket? Their highest paydays. Martin Bacole, I mean, he stepped in the last time, late notice, barely got scraped up against the head, and then he just went down because guess what? He got his money. I don't know. I mean, I'm hopeful of Turkey. On paper, the stuff Turkey's doing is great, but the results don't bear out what's on paper. It just hasn't so far. And now, as we move forward, you're gonna have Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford. Now, I don't think that those 2 guys will go out and disappoint the fans, because I think those guys have enough heart and determination. They want to win. I know Crawford wants to win, and I think Canelo wants to win as well. So I think that we will get something good there. And Canelo might be ripe to be beaten. He just might be ripe to be beaten here by Terrence Crawford. He hasn't knocked anybody out in what, 4 or 5 years. The last so many fights, he's knocked people down, but he hadn't stopped anybody. The last guy he stopped was what, Caleb Plant, I think, and that was years ago. So we'll just have to see what happens. But ultimately, before we focus on that, let's keep the focus on tonight. Monster Inoue. Monster Inoue remains undefeated. I believe he is now 30-0. And now that he's 30-0, I think it's time that Monster Inoue starts to look to move up to 126. Because at 126, there's going to be some dangerous fights up there. Like I said, Shushu Carrington is a dangerous opponent. And then essentially others at 126. And here's the thing, Inoue is good when people in the next division are lining up waiting to fight him, because they know for themselves it's going to be a good payday. They know for themselves it is going to be a good payday. Like I would love to see Monster Inoue versus Shushu Carrington. That would be a good fight. That would be a good fight right there. But don't think Monster Inoue can't move up to 126. He's already whooped Stephen Fulton. We've seen what happened there, albeit at 122. But Stephen Fulton's at 126, and last I checked, he looked really good at 126. So if Monster Inoue can whoop Stephen Fulton, I think he can whoop others as well. So, but other than that, I'm about to wrap this thing down. I'm about to wrap this thing down. Going to start trying to get into the live stream and maybe a little bit more. I normally just put out videos, but like I said, the trend on YouTube is more people are going live, and so that's kind of what people like to see. So we're going to try to deliver that for you all, the audience, to go live maybe a little bit more, after certain events. Can't say I'm going to do it as much as some of these other people that have a schedule, but we're going to try to go live a little bit more. But all in all, Top Rank saves face a little bit when it comes to Cinco de Mayo weekend. Turkey Al Sheikh stuff flopped. It is what it is. And hopefully later on in the year, some of the stuff that Turkey's got on with Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda, hopefully some of that stuff delivers. Hopefully, but we'll just have to wait and see. But until then, hit the like button. Make sure y'all subscribe. Keep following this channel, because we talk about boxing, talk about college football, talk about the NBA, we talk about the NFL. Anything sports related, if it catches my attention, I'm going to talk about it as well. But other than that, I'm out.